Baiklah. Alright. Assalamualaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'll be using my Kelantanese accent for the first part. Guys, teruk molek disulih. Molek dipakai, jangan disipeh. Pemanis kata, ucapnya salah. Salah sejahtera, ambo ucap ke. Assalamualaikum. Assalam. Greetings, selamat pagi and good morning to all participants.
Welcome to our 34th International Conference, the 9th Asian Conference on Environment Behavior Studies, AcE-Bs2021 KotaBharu, from today until tomorrow.
I am Dr. Nikmastura Nik Muhammad.
And I, Muhammad Adi bin Muhammad Yusof.
Together, we shall be your MC for two-day event. It is quite unfortunate that we could not organize the conference face-to-face. Nevertheless, we are grateful that the two-day conference is being organized as scheduled.
A special thanks to our Dean and also the advisor for AcE-Bs2021, TPR, Professor Dr. Jamal Nulaili Abdullah, for allowing this conference to be broadcasted from FSPU United Shah Alam.
We now call upon the conference chair, Prof. Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Abbas, for his welcoming speech. Prof. Yusuf, please. Hi, Prof. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for those who are attending. I'm still allowing those who are in the waiting room to be admitted inside. Anyway, again, thank you very much to all. Ya, bersyukur kita kepada Ilahi kerana dapat organize this conference. Sorry, we've got Professor Heng there. Professor Heng, hello. Okay, Professor Heng will be sharing.
Yes, I'm here.
How are you from Taiwan?
From Taiwan, I'm fine.
Nice, thank you. So Professor Heng will share the breakout session. I just want to say a few words here before I say more words during the breakout, best paper award announcement, which will be held next week. I just wish to touch on a bit of a housekeeping here, especially for the hashtag GC2021, yeah, Game Changer 2021. And we are in the midst of it, and this is the second conference that the Game Changer has actually in a way influenced. I'm very indebted to the participants, authors who made and tried to get in touch with their international collaborators, and I'm very glad to inform that the hashtag GC2021 is working now. Yeah, so more than 75% of the papers are actually contributed by co-authors, international co-authors. So I must congratulate the authors for this, and I hope you can carry on. Now, this year we are still sort of like allowing non-international authors because I think they need the grace period actually. So, but the penalty is actually increasing now for those who do not have international authors, because our December conference, the penalty will be 50% on top of the registration fees.
Okay, understand.
So we have to do it, but because we are going into 2022, definitely 2022 will be all international co-authors. So we will reject non-international authors. So December will be the final one where we will soften a bit, yeah. But 2022 will be very strict with our conference in March. Yeah, I don't know where we are going to held it. It all depends on the pandemic. Anyway, thanks again to all who made their time, and especially to you, Heng. I believe the Malaysian time is the same as in Taiwan. Yeah.
Yes, yes. The time
Okay.
is the same.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Over to you, Nick.
Thank you, Prof. Yusuf, for your welcoming speech. Adi.
Sorry about that. For the opening speech, we are most honored to invite our Dean, who is also the conference advisor, TPR Dr. Jamalul Ali. Please, Professor.
Thank you very much to our MCs. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. Those of you in the morning here, like Malaysia in Asia, but some of you maybe in other parts of the region, so maybe it's at night at your place. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to welcome all of you to this conference here, okay, which is like the 9th Asian Conference on Environment and Behavior Studies, okay, AcE-Bs 2021, so which is our 34th international conference to be organized, and I was told by Prof. Yusuf that it's managed to attract an overall of 57 numbers of abstracts. Okay, so out of those 57, and unfortunately 12 were rejected due to the non-compliance. Okay, so but as Prof. Yusuf mentioned just now, okay, the GC 2021 hashtag GC 2021 initiative seem to have borne fruits. So of the 45 abstracts approved, authors from 17 countries contributed. So I think this is perhaps the highest number so far. So namely from Australia, Brunei, Canada, China, Egypt, Hungary, Indonesia, Iraq, Japan, Malaysia, Pakistan, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, United Kingdom, United States of America, and Uzbekistan contributed to the conference. So this is truly make this conference is very international. So well done to Prof. Yusuf and the team. Okay, your Game Changer 2021 has borne fruit, and inshallah for the next conference will be in December. We'll have more international participation. So this is really this conference is not just to present paper, but it's also an opportunity to extend our networks and to collaborate in research. Okay, so it's research for humanity. So it doesn't matter wherever you are, and as the COVID-19 pandemic has shown to us, like when you have to fight like the invisible enemy like COVID, they require like collaborations among everybody, okay, throughout the world. Okay, so we also like to thank Prof. Yusuf for selecting again FSPU to co-host this virtual conference from Shah Alam. So we are yes, all of us looking forward to go to beautiful Kota Baru, but unfortunately the situation does not permit us to do that. So we'll do it now, still the virtual conference. Inshallah, perhaps in December when the vaccination has rolled out and then we're able to tackle the pandemic, perhaps we can go to our next destination, which I think was it Marrakesh? I'm not mistaken. Okay, inshallah for that. So in addition, I like to congratulate all of you who have made this conference possible. Okay, so to the team, Prof. Yusuf and the team, Abra, okay, and in particular also most importantly to all the paper contributors, okay, as well as international scientific committee and the editorial team, and also especially also to the breakout chairs. And when we look at the list, like all the breakout chairs are those international chairs from outside Malaysia. So thank you very much for your willingness despite different time zone. And then also especially to our distinguished keynote speaker. And I was informed by Prof. Yusuf that the abstracts will finally transform into 31 approved papers. So with that, I'd like to welcome all of you again to this virtual conference and then co-hosted by Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying. And to all of you, especially Prof. Yusuf and the team, congratulations, and hope all of us will have a very fruitful and enjoyable conference. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jamalul Naili, for your opening speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, we believe all have received the detailed schedule for your oral presentation. Just a reminder, for today, there will be 3 breakout sessions. Breakout 1 at 11 a.m., breakout 2 at 2 p.m., and breakout 3 at 4 p.m.
Just a note, if for whatever reasons, such as connectivity issues, we shall stick to the breakouts as scheduled. The particular affected breakout session shall be rescheduled at the breakout 3.
Over to you, Prof. Hang from Taiwan, who will chair breakout 1. Prof. Han, please.
Okay. I welcome all the participants of this section. In this section, we have 5 papers to present. Now we present the first one. It's the first presenter there.
Sharifah Zanira, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. First presenter.
Okay. Okay, the first paper is eco-business practice among Malaysian green technology companies towards expected business benefits. Yes, you can begin.
Thank you, Professor Chang. Okay, can you see the slide?
Not yet. Oh, yes.
All right. Okay, thank you again, Professor Chang. Good morning to everyone. I'm Sharifah Zanira Setmazuki from the Faculty of Business and Management, University Technology Mara. The topic that we're presenting for today is on eco-business practices among Malaysian green technology companies toward expected business benefits. The team members, the team leader is Siti Zahra Buyong. I'm Sharifah Zanira, Junaina Junid, and also Associate Professor Muhammad Ali Bahari. So for the introduction, sustainability has become a widely discussed topic among corporates, politicians, and academia. And the UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, that has been introduced in 2015, act as a blueprint to sustainably and invigorate the interest in sustainability. As the definition of environmental sustainability evolved and increasingly well-defined, organizations became more concerned with the environmental sustainability. Okay, as a result, countless innovative initiatives have been launched and implemented by various parties, including public sector, private organizations, as well as the third sector to help reduce the adverse impact of human activities towards the mother nature. So we know that there are a lot of green technology companies whereby they are practicing green practices, whereby this include technology, infrastructure, they will practice on recycling water, purifying water, creating clean energy, and conserve nature resources. Okay. This study investigates the adaptation of eco-business model among certified companies in Malaysia that take into considerations 4 elements. So this study has concentrated on these 3 elements, that is regulation, customer pressure, social responsibility, and expected business benefits deemed to sustain the environment. So here are the 4 factors. So the methodology, we have distributed 14 questionnaires to the owners of certified companies of green tech listed by Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation, or MATRADE. Hypothesis testing and validating measures were conducted using PLS, using the Smart PLS 3.0 software. This study is to measure the relationship of lantern variables using convergent validity and discriminant analysis. So here the demographic profiling of the firms is shown in the table. So as you can see in the table, most of the companies, they are in the, they are less than 15 years. Number of employees less than 100 employees, and most of the companies, they are producing consumer products, and also from the private limited company. So on the reliable analysis, reliability analysis, you can see in the table that the result shows that the entire dimensions range from 0.9893 to 0.933, which exceeds the minimum of 0.6. So the construct measure is regarded as reliable. And move on to the measurement model. So you can see in the measurement model, the outer loadings of each variable are good loadings, whereby the reliability values exceeded the recommended value of 0.7. And furthermore, the average variance extracted by the lantern construct also surpassed the suggested value of 0.5. Then the discriminant validity, the HTMT was chosen and is proven to be robust in testing discriminant analysis. So each variable value is below 0.9, hence discriminant validity is substantiated. So the structural model, a total of 60.2% of variance are squared in expected business benefits showed a reliable predictive explanatory power of variance explained by antecedents of regulations, customer pressure, and social responsibility of equal business benefits, right? Then the regulations has a significant effect on expected business benefit, and also on customer pressure as well as the social responsibility that very much significantly affected the business benefit with the coefficient of 0.525 and 0.262 respectively. So under discussion, Ska, Bas, and Hui Sing, 2011, have argued that although many industries have taken necessary actions to address environmental pollution, but many industry estates have not systematically addressed this issue in a more comprehensive way. So if you see in Malaysia, the companies, they are more concerned on cost. However, in Western countries, they are more concerned on customer pressure. So the problem that has been raised is on explicit environmental management capability or environmental plan. So this study showed that majority of the eco businesses are in the growth and expansion stage. So, and running the businesses under private limited companies. So there are not many companies in Malaysia that are actually practicing eco-friendly. So the findings revealed that regulations, customer pressure, and social responsibility have significant effect towards expected business benefits due to the pressure by most developed countries. So whenever the producers, they want to export their products to other countries, they need to comply with their requirements. So this is one of the challenges that need to be addressed by our local companies. So on the conclusion and recommendations, customers seek companies to be able to provide green practices in their daily operations while maintaining the environment. Here, social responsibility appeared to be significant in influencing business benefits of a company, but it has the values of opportunity, innovation, and competitive advantage. So this empirical study also suggests that directions in terms of policy, laws, and regulations with regards to environmental issues due to manufacturing activities and environmental protection are taken into considerations by the policymakers. So it is actually, we need to have, government intervention whereby immediate action should be initiated and taken to increase the eco-efficiency levels besides minimizing environmental liabilities. With that, I thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your presentation, Siti. I think you have done an interesting investigation. I have some questions for you, and the first one is, how many samples did you have you indeed these?
Oh, okay. The samples will, yeah. So thank you, Professor Cheng. Actually, we have distributed to only 14 questionnaires. So it's very small samples due to the pandemic.
Yes.
So we could not go, face to face with the owners. So we just distribute it through to WhatsApp. So we have gathered the data from a trade. So that's the only samples that we can gather.
Okay, the sample size is
Yeah, very simple.
a
That's
little, yes.
why.
Okay, nevertheless, and for the results, you have to discuss for the result. What do you find when the result is I mean the expectancy from the business benefit is affected by customer pressure. Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
correct. That's right.
Well, what means that?
Thank you very much for your questions, Professor Cheng. Customer pressure indeed has affected the results because customers, they are really in need of products that being produced in a nature environment. For example, like, practicing something that that can maintain the environment. So they do not want products that being produced that has, some effect where it will be dangerous for them for their consumption or for their usage. That's why I have mentioned just now in my presentation that the customer pressures in Western countries in particular, they are very concerned on the products being produced in a more what we call as clean way, yeah, more green, yeah.
You mean the customer pressure is greater than regulation?
Yeah,
As,
yes,
from the
correct.
government.
Yes, correct.
Also greater than the social responsibility.
Yeah,
from the social side. Okay, that's very interesting.
Prof, can I have a question?
Yes, please.
Right. Okay. My name is Mazni. I used to work in the industry, but it was a Japanese company, MNC, which is really concerned on this green products. So, for example, like soldering, they go for unleaded, less chemical that gives some harmful to the human being. But the issue is the implementation is very, very expensive. It's very costly. So I just wonder, in your case, how the SME deal with it? Because it is very expensive actually when we want to practice this green. So what is your finding so far? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mazni. So actually, we more concentrate on the customer pressure regulations and on the social responsibility. So yes, we have gained feedback from the respondents that it is actually costly in order to to get the equipments, the machineries in order to produce products that are what we call as comply to the green practices. I agree with you, and also we also have feedbacks on that matter. But we did not actually, go in detail on each and every elements on the course and so on. So we just ask them on the, the 4 elements that we are concentrating on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just to give some tips for you, there is a green associations. Maybe you wanted to contact these associations for a better responses. That's all.
Right. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Prof. Guy. My question to Sharifa is, you have a very small sample size, so there will be questions of reliability and validity. And at the same time, with that small number, you cannot generalize the findings.
Yeah, correct. Yes, that's correct, Prof. Thank you very much. But we actually have, I think months in getting the respondents, but I agree with you. We cannot generalize it, but with that small respondent, we still can get the PLS using the sample. The very small sample. Yeah. I agree with you that we cannot generalize it.
Yeah, I think I would like to talk about that also, but it has been commented by the previous participant. But I think maybe one of the way you could have done the qualitative way, you see, you have more number.
Yeah, maybe in the next research.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good idea. Okay. Anyway, I just wonder, based on your result just now, you're saying that customer pressure has the greatest effect, right? The highest data.
Yeah.
And I'm also surprised, see, though the number is very little, and yet the reliability is high, or most of them are all 0.9. Okay. Okay. Anyway, what sort of question that you ask for customer pressure? What are they?
What are they? The customer pressure.
What sort of pressure that you say about the customer?
So
Pressure that they have?
Yeah. I think that one of the questions that I can still remember is on whether they insisted in, through the feedback, whether the customers always, complain or, through the feedback of the customers. Yeah, through the feedback from the customers, and also on the standards and so on.
Okay. Is that you formulate the question yourself or adapted from somewhere?
Adapted. Adopt and adapt.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
It's an interesting topic though.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We still have 2 minutes. When you have any question, you can ask our presenter, Siti.
Let me feel a little more.
Okay.
Okay, about the customer pressure, in case of my previous company, we are actually assembling electronic products to HQ. Okay, for example, like Canon products, NEC products, many kind of products, Casio. So basically, when we wanted to buy the components for these electronic products, we have to follow the specification that set by the HQ. For example, for NEC customer, they set what is the specification, what kind of materials, like I just now I mentioned about the soldering. So it should be unleaded. So they will mention that in spec. If we did not follow this specification, we are not complying, and then we cannot export this product to Japan. So this is what the pressure means, customer pressure means. They want this to be like this. Same goes to like other, I forget already. There are many like UL laboratories. There are many kind of macam sirim lah, like sirims audit. They emphasize on the component which consists of these green components. Without this, we cannot export this product or sell this product outside Malaysia to their country. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Very good
You're most
sharing.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Now we have moved on the second paper, eco-business initiatives among Malaysian SME green technology companies.
Excuse me, Prof. The
Yes.
presenter having problem with the line right now. Can we proceed with other papers first?
Okay. Is the third paper the presenter for the third paper here? Company performance during COVID-19.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Can you present your paper for us?
Yes, can.
Okay. You can now begin. Thank you.
Can you all see my screen right now?
Yes.
I'll try to put it on a slideshow. Check whether can we all see it or not. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
The presentation slide in presentation in slideshow.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Sarah Nakia Hanim Shaharuddin. So I am actually the main author for this paper, company performance during COVID-19, impact of leverage, liquidity and cash flows. So the co-authors for this paper are me and then Dr. Razia Mahmud, Dr. Nur Khadija and also Dr. Widya Perwitasari from Indonesia. Okay. So we will be talking about the introduction, literature review, research methodology, findings and discussion, conclusion and recommendation. Sorry, there's a lot of homeschooling, online schooling here at the moment. Okay.
Never mind.
So introduction. So during COVID-19, companies face stringent financing requirements and higher interest costs. This is according to IMF in 2020. So during the worst economic downturn since 1930. And then somewhat it was added up by the Movement Control Order, which is MCO, that stalled daily business activities. So the MCO has triggered a barrier to sustain profitability as only essential businesses are allowed to operate. Hence, companies turned to additional debts to finance the business. With a sudden reduction of demand for goods and services, it will further deteriorate current and expected revenues, which eventually decays the market value of the company's assets, liquidity, and cash flows from company's operations. So studies have been done previously by many parties before but on the impact of company performance during the COVID-19, well, like in Indonesia and China, but none of those studies were done in Malaysia. So this study is basically significant in reducing the literature gap by examining the impacts of COVID-19 on companies' performance from leverage, liquidity, and cash flows from operations angle. So literature review. So for the first item is hold on, sorry, leverage and company performance. So IMF says that companies may turn to additional debts as alternative sources in financing the company's operation. Hadija and Namek in 2021 says that negative relationship between company financial leverage and company performance is found. And then Chabachip et al. In 2021 said that there was a positive relationship between leverage and company performance. So basically there's a mixture of research results from other previous researchers. So let's take a look at our results later. So the next one is liquidity and company performance. According to Zeman and Dan Kiewicz in 2020, companies have a higher tendency to maintain good liquidity before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic than during the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak. And then according to Lee, Musakong, Ajay Mensah and et al., they found negative relationship between liquidity and performance. So trade-off theory, according to Abdullah and Chersoy, the usage of debt and equity based on corporate taxes, which Myers initiated in 1977, supports the advantages of debt financing. So we are using the trade-off theory for this paper. Hassan and Samor said companies balance off the trade-off between the debt benefits and debt costs because leverage may positively impact companies' performance. Our research methodology, we use secondary data collected through Refinitiv Icon published by Thomson Reuters. We used 517 public listed company in Malaysia. We used 2 quarters of financial data in year 2020, and we analyzed the data using the Python Pandas programming software. So this is the measurement variables, their table. So we can see that we're using return on assets, ROA, and return on equity, ROE, as our DV. And then we have our leverage, which is debt to equity ratio, and liquidity and cash flows from operations as our IV, and also size as our control variable. So from our findings, okay, we can see that liquidity and also cash flow from operation has a t-value of 5.916 and 10.739, and ROE has 3.360 and 8.266. This is the t-value for the coefficient of liquidity and CFO. So liquidity has shown liquidity ratio shows a negative significant relationship towards performance. Due to this MCO, most of companies have difficulties maintaining and managing their working capital. So everybody's money is stuck somewhere, whether it's in the customers or whether in stocks or in the stock for maintenance of the company itself, keeping it afloat. Okay, the cash flows from operation ratio have positively significant relationship with company's performance. It shows that how the company is efficient in utilizing the assets to collect cash from sales and customers. And also it is especially imperative to have positive cash flows from operations during the COVID-19 pandemic to fund new product launch, a new marketing strategy, or paying off debts. So our recommendations. So for future researchers should consider extending the study period to full financial year data or more. And because during our research was done last year, during the when the pandemic just started. So by the time the research was done, only about 2 quarters of financial data were available at that point of time. Okay, other variables also can be considered, such as management efficiency or corporate governance components on company's performance. With this, I thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Sarah.
Yes. Would you like me to continue presenting so that you can take a look at the slides?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Now I gave the question for the participant. Is there here in the session any participants have questions for the presenter? I think the teams of Sarah have done a very good study. The description of the methods very clear, and the result is also clear. Can you talk about your result and the meaning of the result more?
Oh, okay. So basically, according to previous literatures, some people find it positively liquidity leverage and also cash flows from operations might have positive or negative impact on company's performance. But in our results during the actual pandemic breakout, it was different than others, or maybe the same in alignment with others. Okay, so we have liquidity ratio shows negative significant relationship towards performance. So it's kind of logical because liquidity, when you have a bad liquidity, then you will not be able to perform well like the previous years. So liquidity is a very important element in your company's survival. So that is basically our results that came from our study. And then we assumed that then it is during the, because of the MCO, because of companies were not allowed to operate during those period of time, that makes it harder for them to maintain good liquidity. This is and the timeline of our research was basically early in 2020 up to June, July, September period. So the mixture of results was saying that we need to have a good liquidity because the result shows that it was negatively impacting the performance. So, but the cash flows from operation is the one that they really maintain. The companies generally maintain very good cash flows from operation, because that is the root of of all three components of cash flows. We have three. We have operations, we have financing, and also the other one is I can't remember. But cash flows from operation is the most important element from the whole cash flows statement. So if they have a very good positive cash flows from operation, then at least the product launch and also a new production, and also when MCO is lifted, so they still have money to still maintain production, not just waste their money on fixed costs and all. So I think companies have more maturity in that sense to actually set aside some money in order for them to maintain their working capital.
Yes, the size of the the size is also significant. Can you talk about that? You have not marked the size. Yellow?
But yeah, the size is actually a control variable. It's also, it's to help us to maintain the result to be more reliable. So that's why we added size in the variables. So we didn't evaluate the size, the company size, but yeah, it is a control variable in the study.
Okay, understood. It's the coefficient standardized or not standardized?
Pardon, but Prof, sorry.
Yes, it's I mean the coefficient.
Yes, coefficient. Okay.
It's standardized or not standardized. I think that's not standardized.
This is not standardized. Yes, correct. Unstandardized.
Yeah, maybe you can standardize and then compare them, which is bigger and which is the first one, which is the second one, and how much then differ each other.
Oh, okay.
So you can make another result.
Okay. We will take that into consideration for the publication later.
Yes. Okay, this is a very interesting paper.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Assalamualaikum.
And we have still minutes for question. Are there any questions for the participants? Okay, then we thank you, Sarah. Now we move on. Yeah, thank you. Now we move on the next. Is the second paper already?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here already.
Yes. Okay, okay.
Okay. Can you see my slide, Prof?
Yes.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi and very good morning to Professor and all the audience. Sorry for the technical glitch and also the line just now. So my paper entitled Eco-Business Initiatives among Malaysian SME Green Technology Companies. Our group members is Siti Zarah Boyong, Sharifah, Associate Professor Sharifah Zanira, Junana Junid, and myself, Muhammad Ali. You can call me Ali. So on behalf of our group members, I'll be sharing our paper this morning. Okay, so I will do some introduction, and then later on we will look at the key drivers or the literature, and then I'll explain a little bit about the methodology, the findings, and the discussion, and then conclusion and the paper contribution to the related field of study. Okay, as we all know, a lot of literature talk about the importance of SMEs to the country's economy in terms of GDP and so on. Especially the SMEs and small and medium enterprises, how they contribute to the country's or the nation's economy. However, there is one important issue, which is environmental issues among SMEs, which is not properly addressed, especially in terms of environmental management, or specifically the unethical business operations. Okay? So the role of SMEs in our studies, actually, we want to look at the initiatives in terms of environmental management done by the SMEs or conducted by SMEs in terms of their initiatives that can contribute to sustainability of environment in the country. Okay. So in terms of the literature or the key drivers, I mean the concept of green practices in Malaysia is considered at an early stage. Okay, so we look at the drivers, the key drivers in the implementation of the eco business model initiatives in our country. Among others are regulation, the customer pressure, the corporate social responsibility, the expected business benefits comprises of improving environmental performance and how these SMEs can improve their resource efficiency in terms of making the society more sustainable, and at the same time creating new market opportunities. And the last driver is actually the brand benefits to the firm. How can they use these initiatives to elevate their brands that can benefit the firm. Okay, so in terms of our methodology, so we conducted a quantitative methodology using survey. Initially, we planned to distribute directly to the companies, but because of the COVID-19, so we decided to distribute our questionnaire via Google Forms. Okay, so quantitative survey, of course, we aim to make a statistical inference and try to generalize if we get enough sample. Okay, the managerial practices with regards to environmental management among small and medium enterprises in Malaysia, and our sample is actually green tech companies listed by Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation, which is MATRADE. Okay, so we use a Smart PLS 3.0 software to perform hypothesis checking and validating steps using PLS. We aim to use convergent validity and discriminant analysis to determine the relationship between latent variables. But our core or our main limitation here is low responses, or because of the movement control order that contributed to the very low response, I would say, which is only 14 responses. Okay, so some of the these are some of the major findings that I would like to share, which is very interesting. Out of that 14 responses, we can say that 17.4% participate in green association, and 28.6% do not participate. 78.6% of our respondents producing consumer goods, and only 21% producing industrial products. Okay, so to test the goodness of measure, of course, validity and reliability tests are essential. So we use Cronbach values. As you can see in this table, it exceeds the minimum of 0.6. Regulation stated 0.893, customer pressure 0.923, social responsibility 0.908, and the expected business benefit 0.933. So the constructs measurement are regarded as reliable. Okay, so as shown, as you can see in this slide, the outer loadings of each variable are good loadings, higher than the recommended value of 0.7 by hair. The antecedents of regulation, market pressure, social responsibility of equal business benefits explain of total of 60.2% of difference, as seen in figure 1. Okay, and expected business benefit significantly affected by regulations, and coefficients of 0.52 and 0.262 respectively for customer pressure and also social responsibility also have a significant impact on expected business benefits. So move on to the discussion. Our findings reveal that the regulation or legislation, consumer pressure, and also social responsibility substantially impact the expected business benefits. So the policy, which is the most quoted catalyst for businesses to follow green practices. Okay. And from our studies also, we can say that customers still want businesses that will have sustainability standards in their everyday activities, while also being environmentally conscious. And social responsibility also proved to have a direct impact on companies' financial performance or financial gains, but also had the values of opportunity, creativity, and cooperative advantage, as highlighted by Porter and Kramer. So in our country, in Malaysia, the government, the responsible agencies, and also the companies has taken the initiative to try to lower the carbon footprint and reduce air pollution, to upgrade the health of a society, thus create a better, healthy environment. Okay. So as a conclusion, regulations, customer pressure, and also social responsibility appear to have a significant relationship to the business benefits. Companies, especially those who are dealing with manufacturing, are currently facing demands from the consumers in having eco-initiatives, okay? Eco-initiatives to maintain a good environmental sustainability. And it is clear that we need to take immediate actions, although issues on preserving the environment while performing business is challenging, and still, the companies, even the government, or the social sector is debating about that. And then it is expected that more companies will implement these green practices, or to take initiatives, at least to do some initiatives in green practices in their daily business operations. Okay. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ali, for your presentation. Now I have a question. Your result is just the same as the first presentation, and you are the same team. Is the paper reduplicated?
Okay. Yeah. The paper is actually the research is the same research, but we look at different perspectives. Okay. Initiatives. My paper is actually looking at the initiatives. Okay? The initiatives of SME companies, and what are their perspectives, okay, by implementing those initiatives on the environmental sustainability. Okay. So those are the things that are different from the first paper.
Can you talk more about, you say, initiative of the companies? Yeah, right? Can you talk about that?
Okay. Some of the, if you look at the initiatives of this SME, okay, for example, some of the SMEs are now more concerned in terms of controlling their waste or handling their waste and also the hazardous material. Those are one of the examples of the initiative done by small and medium enterprises, because due to their sizes, they cannot embark on the very high technology waste management, but they started to invest a little bit on how to manage their waste material or hazardous materials, or handling the hazardous material. That is one of the examples of the initiatives. Okay, it is not fully high technology integration into their business operation, but they try to include, or they try to initiate a new way of handling the hazardous material. That is one of the examples that I can share with you, Prof.
Okay. And have you measured initiatives Is that initiative variable for you for this study?
Again, come again, Prof. Sorry.
Did you have major initiatives of the companies?
Oh, you mean
you haven't?
No, we haven't
yes,
done that measurement yet. No, we don't have that measurement.
Yes, yes, yes. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You cannot interpret your result without measurement.
Yeah, I know, because we our responses is very low. So some we cannot generalize. Of course, I agree with you that we cannot generalize the results into a bigger population. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions by our participants?
I have question, Prof. It's me again, Masni. I didn't ask this question for the first presenter, but actually I was looking at the Cronbach alpha values. There are few values exceeding 0.9. So it may indicate multi outliers. So may I have the feedback from the presenter? What do you think of this?
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, because of we have a very low responses due to the MCO and so on. So with the 14 responses, I think it may contributed to those values. So if we have a bigger respondents, so I think that the data will be better than what we have today. Yeah. That is my
I think
answer.
you should conduct the VIF and tolerance values to ensure that there is no outliers. Because without pandemic, actually we also send our questionnaire online. So I don't think pandemic is the issue. I'm sorry to say this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Noted that. Thank you. Thank you, bro.
Thank you. Your result and the first paper also, the page, the measurement and structure model. There's one loading. It's, the loading is 1.000. This is violate the regular. The loading cannot be 1. Do you understand what I say?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a loading too high. That's a violate the measurement. Maybe your sample are too small.
Low. Yeah, very low, very low.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I agree with you, bro.
Okay.
Right.
Are there still any questions?
Right. Can you hear me now? There you go.
Okay.
Hi, Dave Osborne from Hong Kong. I have a quick question going back to the basis of the research. Because you're talking one about small SMEs and you're talking about eco-responsibility. Very, very big questions which the environmental responsibilities cover a very wide range of responsibilities, and small SMEs cover a huge range of industries. If you take a manufacturer, for example, in comparison to, say, I don't know, a software developer, their impact on the environment is quite totally different. So there's so many variables going on there. And then you add this into the fact that you had such a small number of respondents. I really just question how much we can gain from the research, given that, was it 13 respondents? I don't know. It was a very small number of respondents. Split that between all the variables, and I don't really feel that you have any kind of substantial statement here to be made. Correct or not correct?
Yeah, I agree with you. Still, our main problem is actually the low responses, a very small number of responses. I think that contribute to those things that you have said just now. Yeah, you and also the players.
Yeah. Do you think, for example, in the next round of research, is there any value to limiting the type of SMEs, for example? So you might do some research purely on manufacturers or so on.
Yeah. I agree. So I think we can look for the next research. Maybe we can focus on the manufacturing sector, the service sector. I think better we do it that way in our future research. Yeah.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. Mm.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Thank you, David. Okay, thank you, Dr. Ali.
Hello, Prof. Can
you
I
have question, Prof?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Ali, just now you mentioned that this study is the same study as the one presented by Dr. Sharifah Zanirah just now, right? So,
Correct.
Okay. And your study is focused on SMEs, right? This, the one that you presented just now is focused on SMEs, and I am wondering about the first paper just now, the one that is presented by Dr. Sharifah Zanirah. Was it focused on SMEs also, or on just any company listed by Matrix?
Okay, it is basically the SME, because if you look at the definition of SMEs,
that is your paper. How about, I'm sorry to ask this question. How about the first paper just now? Because the first paper didn't actually say that it is focused on SMEs. And one of the findings just now, if I'm not mistaken, was it was found that most of the companies are small and medium companies. So from what I understand, it means that there are also other bigger companies included in the sample. Was it right?
Okay, I think we use the same responses from the study. So it's basically SMEs, small and medium enterprises. Yeah.
Okay, so because it is rather confusing here, when you use the same sample, exactly the same sample for two different studies. Maybe it is rather confusing.
Okay, right. Noted, bro.
Okay, thank you, Prof. And thank you, Ali, for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Now, thank you. Now we move on the fourth. The influence of leadership style on strategic decision in response to organizational change.
Hello, Prof. I'm here.
Hello.
Okay, so I will begin the presentation, yeah?
Yes, please. Are you?
I'm Nazira Aziz.
Oh, Nazira. Yes, please.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Okay, I would like to check. Can you guys, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Thank you. Okay,
Hi everyone, my name is Nazira Aziz from the Faculty of Accountancy, University Technology Mara, Malaysia. And today I will be presenting a research paper entitled The Influence of Leadership Style on Strategic Decisions in Response to Organizational Change. And I would like to inform that this is a concept paper, so we haven't started with data collection yet. So this is just a review, a paper that discuss a literature review and findings from past studies on the relationship between leadership style and strategic decision during organizational change. Okay, I would like to introduce my research team. Consists of me, myself, Nazira Aziz, Associate Professor Dr. Tuan Zainul, Zairul Nushazana Zainuddin. All three of us are from the Faculty of Accountancy, University Technology Mara, Malaysia. And we also have Dr. Anusha Bana, a senior lecturer from Durban University of Technology, and she is here also. And this is the outline of my presentation. I will begin with the introduction, and then the research background, the research objective. I will also talk about the theories that underpin the study, and then the review of literature, discussion, and then I will end my presentation with a conclusion. Okay, as for introduction, so many have talked about the impact of COVID-19, right? So we know that most businesses have to take extensive change initiative in order to stay competitive in the market. So this paper addressed the significant role of the leaders in making strategic decisions to ensure business sustainability. Okay, why strategic decision during change? Because now we address change that is necessitated by the pandemic COVID-19, specifically on small, medium, and enterprises. Okay, and the third one, this paper explores the influence of leadership styles on strategic decisions by reviewing past literature that discuss the relationship between various leadership styles and strategic decisions. And the findings of this study will enhance the strategic decisions by identifying the prominent leadership style practiced by SMEs in facing a change necessitated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Excuse me. Okay, moving on to the research background. The business environment is changing rapidly, and it become impulsive and volatile due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So basically, the pandemic has pushed the business to adapt with change in order to remain competitive in the market. So according to a report published by SME Corporation Malaysia in 2020, the pandemic has affected almost 98.5% of Malaysian businesses, including SMEs and micro SMEs. So we would like to address that SME leaders need to adapt leadership styles that suit the current situation in facing the external threats due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is very necessary because leaders are also leaders will influence their followers, their staff or subordinates to adapt with the current situation so that they can move on and succeed in their business. And then leaders are also accountable for playing an influential role in protecting their business and team while preserving the resources and pursuing development to improve their future wealth. Okay, there are two research objectives. Number one is to explore the leadership styles during organizational change from prior research by reviewing the past literature. So as I have mentioned earlier, this is a concept paper, so we just explore the past literature. And number two is to discuss to what extent the leadership style influence the strategic decisions during organizational change. Okay, so there are two theories that underpin the study. Number one, we look at the contingency theory. So the contingency theory proposed that outstanding leadership is a combination of many factors that make individuals great leaders. So basically, there are many factors that could make a leader as a good leader so that they can influence their followers, and then they can take necessary strategic decision to maintain in the market. And then the second one is the behavioral theory that focus on leaders' specific behaviors and actions rather than their traits or characteristics. Okay, so as for the literature review, we begin with the discussion on the leadership styles. Okay, so it refers to individual traits and behavior and their relationships with the followers and stakeholders. So we look at the leaders' personality. Okay, the leadership styles also refers to communicating a vision and engaging followers and other stakeholders in achieving that vision. And the administrative position in an organization. So meaning that leadership has a role in creating and influencing and supporting their followers to improve performance. Okay, we have identified a few prominent leadership styles from the from the past literature. Number one is the transformational leadership style, which I believe can be considered as the most prominent and suitable to be practiced by the leaders of SMEs in facing organizational change. Okay, so that a transformational leader is a charismatic leader who inspires people through his vision. So they can influence the strategic decision by influencing the behavior of the subordinates through a commitment to change and increase their willingness to accept and adopt change. The second one is transactional leadership, which can be considered as a more classical method to influence the followers, whereby they will conduct a close monitoring and then taking corrective action where necessary. The third one is entrepreneurial leadership, where leaders with entrepreneurial behaviors can be considered as passionate, confident, and willing to initiate change. And then they will also consider the surrounding environment and quickly identify the necessary action and to maintain their survival. The fourth one is the strategic leadership, whereby the leaders will analyze the business environment and then they will create and communicate the strategic decision with the team members towards achieving their company's vision and mission. And we have also identified other leadership styles that are available in behavioral studies that can be considered in the study of the influence of leadership styles on strategic decision. Okay, this is to respond to research objective number 2, to see on the influence of leadership style on strategic decision. So based on past literature, we have identified leadership styles are the most foremost environmental factor that can be considered as very essential in influencing organizational performance and strategic decision. So the personality traits of the leaders are the most prominent factors in directing the business towards successful performance through strategic decision making. Leaders are also what we call, they are also necessary to provide direction, to guide the organizational priorities, and create a supportive environment to ensure successful adaptation with change initiative. Okay, as for the discussion, we would like to address that leaders are the key person in making a successful strategic business decision. We have also identified that different leadership styles will have a different impact on strategic decision. So that's why it is very important to choose the correct leadership styles that suit with current environment so that you can maintain your survival in the market. Decision made by the leaders will affect the future of their organization. And SME leaders must be participative, have excellent competency, and use informative approach to address change needed to adapt to the current situation and achieve successful strategic decisions. SME leaders also need to act strategically to adapt to technological changes and remain competitive in a changing economy. Okay, as for the discussion, um, we are referring to reports by SMEs, right? So it addressed that SME are the most prominent entity affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So we acknowledge that SMEs try to cope with the new business environment, okay, whereby they need to adapt with technological changes. They need to move from using the traditional platform to the digital platform, okay, and perhaps they need to restructure their business. So here we address that SME leaders, they are necessary, meaning that they need to take action and to exercise a good leadership style, okay, so that they can influence their followers in making strategic decision for the business. In addition to this, SME leaders must also consider other factors to enhance strategic decisions during organizational change. So this include improving managerial acceptance of change, generating new ideas, and provide innovative alternatives and choices to ensure a successful transition. Okay, with that, thank you. I'm Nazira Aziz from the Faculty of Accountancy, University of Technology Mara. My research interest is management accounting and behavioral study. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you. Any question from the floor?
Okay, thank you, Nazira. You have made a very good presentation. Is there any question for Nazira?
Yeah, hello, hi, there you go. Dave Osborne from Hong Kong again.
Okay,
little bit lost, I'm afraid, because you start off by saying that leaders need to adapt, and you're going to look at the various leadership styles. You then list all the leadership styles, but you don't compare and contrast. And then your discussion on the conclusion will basically said that SMEs are affected by COVID, they need to restructure, and leaders, to quote you, must have good leadership style. Isn't that kind of going around in a big circle without getting anywhere at all?
Agree with that, Prof. As I've mentioned earlier, I know we have many what we call lack of discussion in our study because we are still in the stage of reviewing the literature, developing the questionnaire. So I will take your comment as I will take your feedback as to improve our paper. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Thank you, Prof.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yes.
Good day, Dr. Osborne. Yes, good day, ma'am. Good day, Chair. I'm actually one of the research team members as well from the Durban University of Technology. Sorry, my voice is not clear. It's 6 in the morning in South Africa. Good morning, everybody. I'm actually on leave right now, so yeah, and it's very cold where I am. Anyway, thank you for the question and thank you for your feedback. When I looked at the actual article, and we actually, when you look at it holistically, I think from a leadership perspective and from a leadership style perspective, I think if you look at the actual paper itself, we actually came down to transformational and transactional leadership, which was actually in retrospective chosen comparative to your behavioral and your contingent. Although behavioral and contingent theories, support the aspect of COVID pandemic and the matters that are actually happening right now from a leadership perspective, I think right now, we all have adjusted to the pandemic in some way, yet SMEs are having these difficulties in Malaysia. And I think I was reading about it as well, about Malaysia and the SMEs, that for them to have, I think, sustainable performance and sustainable competitive advantage, you need to have a certain type of leadership. And I think for the study, the one that we will be selecting to make sure that we answer your question as well, is more towards the transformational and transactional. I think that's needed as well. My forte is always ethical leadership. So transformational and transactional, which is linked to ethical leadership. I think that's very important. Why? And I say this is because when we look at the governance model of any SME, you've got to have the vision of the actual SME, the company or the leader has to have the vision intact. One, you got to have your employees also support there. You got to have your also your funding, where you obviously need stakeholders to support you in that one. And you got to have also your the strategy intact. And from my understanding of ethical leadership, and I link it to the theories of transactional and transformational, which actually I've done papers on. These actually three, from if I call it a triangle of leadership, these three would actually in some ways support the aspect of SMEs going forward, taking into consideration this actual constraint of the COVID pandemic. Thank you. I hope it helps to some extent. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for me. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be interesting to see the paper. I get the feeling from what you say that maybe there's critical pieces in the paper which would have served the presentation better had they been included. I mean, if you focus specifically or given the reasons of why you were going the transformational, transactional route, that would have helped help the presentation a little. But thank you, thanks for the elaboration.
Thank you, David. Okay, now thank you for Natura, your presentation.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, now,
thank you.
Thank you. Now we move on the last paper of this section, environmental management, accounting system and value creation and institutional perspective.
Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Hello and very good afternoon, everyone. I guess here is afternoon already. My name is Nirman Nur Afiki bin Mat Yusof. You can call me Nirman. So today I would like to present our conceptual paper. The title is Environmental Management Accounting System and Value Creation, which is from an institutional perspective. So here are the co-authors for this conceptual paper. Associate Professor Dr. Tuan Zainun, Professor Dr. Aziza, and also Dr. Farina from Durban University of Technology. So basically, this is the presentation outline. Consists of introduction, problem statement, objective, literature review, conceptual model, research contribution, future research, and also the conclusions. So for your information, the world today is actually facing the adverse impact of the climate change, and this due to the companies that operate in environmentally sensitive industry. So many environmental degradation, for example, global warming, deforestation, and also resource depletion. So these negative impacts are largely the result of the industrial expansions. This is because the world will consume almost 19 billion tons per year of raw material by 2050. Therefore, there are recent calls for sustainable development, meaning a development that focuses on the environmental protection in addition to the economic growth. So at present, the conventional management accounting system have failed to uphold the environmental information in their financial accounting. So meaning that many environmental information is missing from the various decision-making technique in the organization. So thus a new environmental management accounting system is needed to address this issue in order to improve the business performance. So based on 11 Malaysian plan, the sustainable development goal is to combat the climate change and to improve the environmental aspect. Therefore, all the public listed companies nowadays are required to disclose their corporate social responsibility activities. However, study on AMAS have focused more on the manufacturing industry, leaving other industry, for example, service industry, in terms of AMAS adoption. So as we all know that many institutional pressure that comes from the internet and also external stakeholder to mitigate, to enforce the company to mitigate their environmental impact. However, despite the advantage that can generate from the AMAS adoption, the level of AMAS adoptions is still low in the organization, especially in developing country, for example, Malaysia. This might be due to there are various behavioral barrier for this study, for example, attitudinal barrier and also management barrier that can impact mass adoption in the organization. So in this conceptual paper, there are two objectives. The first one is to explain the concept behind mass adoption and its impact on value creation in the organization. So by understanding first institutional pressure and second one is behavioral barrier. Second objective is to describe the management behavioral issue towards mass adoption and how this behavior will lead to the value creation. Let's proceed to the literature review. So in terms of environmental problem in Malaysia, many sectors contribute to the pollution. For example, manufacturing sector, mining sector, and also construction sector. So obviously, manufacturing industry generate obvious environmental impact due to the nature of their business activity. However, service industry also consume a very significant quantities of resources. For example, energy, water, and non-durable product that bring a lot of complaints from the public. So the main aims of the environmental management accounting system is to provide environmental information, both monetary and also physical information, in order to increase the efficiency of the natural resources and also to reduce the environmental impact. So basically, AMAS able to trace environmental information that are commonly hidden under traditional management accounting system. So in terms of benefit, AMAS adoption able to extend the support to the top management in order for a better decision-making technique concerning environmental issue. So prior studies have found that AMAS adoption able to create a lot of value creation, for example, achieve competitive advantage, enhance competitiveness, and also improve companies' profitability. So in terms of mass adoptions, a mass adoption is not consistent in developing country, for example, in Malaysia, because prior study found that the level of mass adoption is still low in Malaysia, and the adoption level for both physical and monetary MR was below the mid point. We can say that this mass adoption is in the infancy stage. And in other countries, for example, South Africa, the level of mass adoption also not consistent across the board, since not all companies in South Africa have installed such system to reduce the environmental cost. Just as mentioned before, even though they have a lot of value that can be generated from the mass adoptions, the level of mass adoption might be low due to the several adoption barrier that may come from the attitudinal barrier, financial barrier, institutional barrier, and also from the management barrier. This is because the companies are fear that the investments on the green practice maybe becomes a burden to the organization without providing any substantial profit or return for the long term. So in this study, in this conceptual paper, we using institutional theory to explore how the organizational structure and action are shaped by the institutional force. For example, government, professional body, and also society that surround the organization. So under institutional theory, there are three pressures that can influence the organization to adopt AMAS, which are the first one is coercive, that mainly comes from the government or legislative body. Number two, pressure that can come from the education and also professional networking. And the third one is mimetic pressure, when the company face uncertainty and also ambiguity situations, and they try to mimic the competitors' practice. So in this study also, we try to fill the gap by, because prior study normally detected the barriers without having a further discussion how this behavioral barrier could moderate the effect of institutional pressure on the mass adoption. So in this study, we incorporated two behavioral barrier. The first one is attitudinal barrier, which relate to the resistance to change among employee. So this attitudinal barrier will arise when employee have a closed mind or lack of readiness to learn a new system. The second barrier is management barrier. This barrier, because we know that in order to make a good practice successfully, we need a commitment from the management. So management barrier normally comes when there is lack of encouragement from the management, lack of environmental accountability, and when there is no proper assigned environmental aspect in their strategic business decision making. So what I can conclude for the conceptual model in terms of level of mass adoption, we found that the level of mass adoption is still low and at infancy stage. This might be due to lack of institutional pressure and some mass adoption influence due to the several barriers, for example, financial constraints. So in terms of institutional pressure and mass adoption, prior study found that the pressure from the coercive, normative, and mimetic pressure have influenced the level of mass adoptions in the organization. We also found that this behavior barrier from attitudinal barrier and also management barrier is one of the barrier that can hinder or impact the mass adoption level. This is because the resistance to change among employees and also little awareness or lack of encouragement for the management could hinder the initiative for the organization to adopt a mass in their companies. When we talk about value creations in the organization, a mass adoption, prior study found that a mass adoption positively have a correlatively positive with financial performance, where it found that a mass adoption could help the company to improve their profit. It's because the management is able to find to reduce the environmental cost indirectly will improve their financial performance. So when we talk about value creation, this mass adoption able to not only help the companies improve their financial performance, but other non-financial performance aspect, for example, environmental performance, operational performance, and also social performance. So I can say that mass adoption could help the company to improve their triple bottom line. So this is basically our conceptual model. As we can see here, the institutional pressure consists of three pressure: coercive, normative, and mimetic pressure, influence the mass adoption. So this behavioral barrier, attitudinal and also management barrier, will we would like to examine whether this behavioral barrier have a moderate effect on the institutional pressure on mass adoption towards the value creation. So by conducting this research, I can say that we can contribute to the academic and practitioner and also policymaker. For the academic, this research will provide a theoretical framework that can help explain the level of mass adoption and its impact on the value creation, so that we can understand better the level of mass adoption by understanding two aspects: institutional pressure and also adoption barrier. For practitioner, we hope that this research can give some idea to the public listed company, especially in Malaysia, to find the solution for the barriers of mass adoption. And we like to create awareness among the companies that this mass adoption is actually able to create value for the organization. In terms of policymaker, this study would encourage better enforcement among the government policy and also legislative body in order to enhance the environmental quality in Malaysia so that we can achieve the sustainable development goal. So for future research and and conclusion, I can say that this study highlights several pressure based on institutional theory, which are, just I mentioned before, coercive, normative, also normative pressure, to see the role of institutional actor on the behavior of the company and their employee towards environmental aspect. So, because we did not conduct any data collection yet, but what I can say, the focus on the value creation in our study focus both financial and also non-financial performance, which may comprise of financial performance, environmental performance, social performance, and also operational performance. So for better results in the future, we would like to see or suggest a comparative study, maybe between industry, countries, or region, to provide further insight into a mass adoption. And we would like to further explore the behavior among between the environmental industry and also environmentally less sensitive industry in Malaysia particularly. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Nirman, for your presentation. I think your study is very grounded and very clear. So, are there any questions for Nirman? I have a little suggestion for your turn. Here, I have seen value creation. I have a misunderstanding about creation to make value. So I think that is a whole adaptation, the value of adaptation. Yeah, right?
So
maybe
what I can explain further. Value creation in our research focus on both aspects, which is financial aspect and also non-financial aspect. So we see this value creation from 5 perspectives, which comprise of financial performance, market performance, environmental performance, social performance, and also operational performance. So we would like to see whether a mass adoption among the organization among public listed company in Malaysia have generated some value towards their companies by adopting this system.
Yes, yes, I understand. Only the term value creation I have yeah, misunderstood. Maybe you can choose another term like value created or value. I don't know. You can think about that.
I think that your comment, Prof. I will discuss further on with my teams whether we will like to change the terms for the value creation. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, that's. Is there any question for Nirman?
Good day, Chair. I have one question, just a query.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. I just wanted to know, it's quite an interesting topic on environmental sustainability and linked to the financial performance aspect. I just wanted to know why did you choose the institutional theory perspective from a financial performance perspective? Some people do choose the stakeholders theory. So what was your reason? Is it more of a holistic view or specifically tailored towards your model? Thank you.
Yes, because for environmental management accounting system based on higher research, I found that they have a lot of theory that have been used to meet the mass adoption level. For example, just Dr. mentioned, stakeholder theory, one of the theory that have been used to test the level of adoption. But a lot of research also using institutional theory as their adapting theory to test whether the mass adoption level have been influenced by institutional actor. Because in Malaysia, we found that environmental issue is very significant among the public. So For example, in Malaysia, we do have Environmental Quality Act 1974 that have been implemented to supervise or to cater the environmental aspect in Malaysia. But we found that I can say that legislative or regulation is not properly implemented because we can see that lots of environmental issues still occur in Malaysia and bring lots of negative impact towards the public as a whole. So we would like to see whether the institutional pressure not only come from the internal aspect, but also external aspect. For example, I can, because we would like to see as a comprehensive pressure, not only from the internal, which is, for example, management and also employee, but also to see from the competitors, from the supplier and also the public as a whole, because we would like to see what the impact of the mass adoption towards social performance also. That's all, Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nirman. Now we have our time and to the end. So I thank you all the participants of this session. Now you can go for lunch. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Prof.